So I'm now sitting in my son's messy bedroom on his gaming PC.
Well, I'll let you into a secret. Last time when we interviewed Lee, he had to use his daughter's pink headphones. So, you know.
There you go.
I forgot about that.
Welcome to the Underground Podcast. I'm Kate, the gardener guru, horticulture consultant, and writer and presenter on all things gardening.
And I'm Phil, co-founder of Writer Bara, a creative marketing agency for the home and garden sectors. Join us in conversation with those people shaping the UK's garden care industry.
So, without further ado,
let's get down and dirty. Hi, Kate.
Hi, Phil.
So here we are. We've literally just finished at the Garden Media Guild Awards in London.
I know. We've been hobnobbing with the great and the good today.
And it's been absolutely fantastic. And we were guests of Evergreen Garden Care.
Yeah.
Bless them. They were fantastic. Really kind of them to invite us along.
It was a lovely, lovely lunch. We were at the Savoy and it was beautifully decorated, lovely food. And lots of lovely people getting wonderful prizes for doing some great work. Yeah,
absolutely. And on our table, surprisingly enough, was Aid Sellers, who was our guest last week.
I know, it was so lovely.
So this week, we're going to be talking about getting kids into gardening.
Yeah. At the end of the day, we need children, young people to get gardening. Otherwise, there's going to be no horticulturists left.
Exactly. And one of the key things, I think, from that is the fact that at the moment, there is no gardening in schools at all.
There's very little. I mean, you've got the RHS doing their Schools for Gardening campaign, but that's, there's no, in the curriculum, there's nothing that is there that children have to do to learn about gardening.
Yeah, and one of the first people we ever spoke to on the podcast was Lee Connelly.
The skinny jean gardener.
And he's absolutely fantastic and a real champion for getting kids gardening.
Absolutely.
And this week, we're going to be talking to
Ross Dyke
and Lee Connelly again, which is going to be great. So we're going to be chatting with them, and Ross has got a special program that he wants to talk to us about.
Well, what is just so wonderful is that Ross has come up with this amazing idea to encourage children in schools to get growing. And it's a kind of growing success plan using sunflowers. And Lee Connelly has come along and really supported him and really helped get him in contact with people and just given him the confidence to get going. Yeah. And that's kind of one of the things I love about horticulture is that a lot of people support each other.
Yeah, it's really fantastic because this isn't Ross's day job. Ross works with young people in a sort of, I think it's like a farm. Yeah. Anyway, we'll talk to him and find out exactly what it is he does. Yeah. But he works with young people, which is great. But he had this idea, and he's really seeing it through, which I think is really good.
It's all come off his own back to get these children gardening, and it's just brilliant. He's even putting the seeds in packets himself.
Yeah, bless him. So, well, I'll tell you what, why don't we stop this chatter now?
Yeah, because there's lots of people coming and going.
Yeah, there's Michael Perry. And
another of our guests.
And we will crack on with the show.
Absolutely.
Right, so Ross, perhaps we can start with you. Can you just give us a little bit of background about yourself?
Yeah, so I started in horticulture about 10 years ago. I started with Webb's Garden Centres and I worked in their warehouse for a bit. Upon finding out that I do actually like plants and learning more about them, I managed to move to their nursery where I did a crop technician apprenticeship. And then from that, I've gone on to my degree course at Pershore College, which is in horticulture. And I work for a special educational needs alternative education provision as a crop technician.
So you work for a special educational needs provision as a crop technician?
Yes.
Just explain that bit, because I used to work in a special needs centre for people with all sorts of different disabilities, just at teaching them gardening. So to have somebody who's crop specialist, what does that entail?
So we grow all sorts of seasonal fruits and vegetables on the farm.
It's a farm.
Then sell them. We've got a store, like a honesty store outside our gates where we put the produce and an honesty box. We then teach the children as well how to cook with those vegetables.
Brilliant.
On top of that, we sell fruit to farm shops. We produce our own apples, our own apple juice, and we've got a cut flower business as well.
Wow.
Amazing.
And Lee, perhaps we could just get you to just introduce yourself to anybody who is not aware of you and what you do.
Yeah, so I'm Lee Connelly. I'm also known as the Skinny Jean Gardener, and I have been, for almost 12 years now, getting children excited about gardening and schools and supporting teachers as well. So that's a really big push for me, because as a child myself, I think I've talked to you both about this before, I never got to garden when I was younger. And now I have my daughter and I get to go into schools, and I'm a governor of my daughter's school as well. I get to see the incredible things that schools can do and could do as well. So so for me, it's about educating children, and also, do you know what? Something I've been talking about a lot more recently is creating memories between teachers and children, but also parents and children as well, because being outside can really build a connection that screens just cannot do. So yeah, that's a bit about me.
Fantastic.
Thank you. So, Ross, can you tell us about the inspiration behind the Get Children Growing initiative?
Yeah, so obviously Lee's a big campaigner for bringing horticulture to the curriculum, and there are so many other people out there as well that do the same. And I sat back in 2023 and said, how can horticulture come onto the curriculum? And I started making notes in a book where we could do this, we could do that. And then the idea of a sustainable grow kit came to me.
Okay.
So I kind of wrote a mini business plan, but it was all over the place, if I'm honest. I didn't think it was set out right. But then I sat on it for about 6 months and didn't do anything with it. And I remember me and my partner and my son went on holiday with my mum and dad for a few days in Wales. And I was like, right, sit down. I'm going to pitch you something. And I started pitching them the idea. And my dad at the time, kind of looked at me and was like, yeah, that could work. But then I still sat on it. And then after meeting Lee and doing my podcast with Lee, I sent Lee the business plan.
The reason I loved it so much, Ross, was because, I've talked about this quite a bit, that it's difficult to get children gardening at school because there's not enough support for teachers, there's not enough money out there, and the things that I'm currently doing with the government and trying to get that into the curriculum on the side with my slightly larger program of school garden success, there wasn't something there that was free for schools or cheap enough for schools to be able to delve into, and also something really, really simple that teachers can do. So when we met and you spoke about it, I thought this is perfect for being able to be easily approachable for schools and easy for them to get into. So I loved it, mate.
Thank you. It was mainly sitting down and, like you say, either having it free or cheap for schools. Yeah. And when I looked at other grow kits, you're talking £10 to £15 per grow kit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be that price.
Okay.
No, do you know what I mean? You can get the price down affordable enough for schools to be able to do it. And I'm lucky with this trial year next year that it is going into schools free.
That's amazing.
That's fantastic.
So can you tell us what age you're targeting and what made you focus on sunflowers?
So ages 4 to 10.
Right.
I think that primary school age for now. And sunflowers, just because they're easy to grow, but you get so many different varieties.
Yeah.
Different colours, different sizes, dwarf, extra tall, and there's so much variety out there for the sunflowers that I thought kids would really like it.
And it's for a class or what? Just tell us a bit about the kit.
Yeah, so the kit is you will get compost, pot, seeds, fact and activity sheet, and it'll be one per student. So rather than having 1 or 2 per class, we'll do 1 per student. So if there's 30 students, they get 30 kits.
Great.
And yeah, so each kit is sustainable. So it's biodegradable, it's compostable, it's recyclable, uses recycled materials. And the kit as a whole is a sunflower kit. It's compost, it's a pot, it's seeds.
Is this to do at school as a class, or can they take them home and do them? How do you kind of keep tabs on it, really, I suppose?
Maybe For the start, I was saying it's got to be done in schools. It has to be done in schools. But when you look at how a sunflower flowers over the summer holidays is where the main part of it is. So the idea then would be they started off in schools, but they can take it home for the summer holidays. And then by the time they come back to school, they can bring the sunflower back, which is where the headmaster or the headmistress or the teacher of the class can pick the best looking sunflower, or they can bring pictures in to show, and the best looking sunflower will then get a prize.
Yeah, it's a competition.
Yeah.
It touches on so many different points as well, because like a sunflower in itself, we can like exciting, right? We love how sunflowers grow, how tall they grow. That is the best part for children to be able to physically see. But also sunflowers, like growing from seed, and then you're talking about the compost, the soil that it's going to go into. We're growing, like I say, growing from seed. And also I love, and I'm a bit weird like this, but I actually love the end of the sunflower's life as it starts to dry up and disappear, because you're then touching into wildlife, which I think is a brilliant thing. So from one plant, you're talking about growing and you're talking about wildlife at the same time.
Yeah.
And like Ross said about taking it home, that is one of the biggest problems we have within school education. Is and I know as a parent that when you go and pick your kids up after school and you say, what have you been up to? That always the answer is, I don't remember. I'm like, you don't remember? What were you doing 5 minutes ago? And that whole connection between school and home is missing, where like Ross said, you're bringing that plant home, you're getting the family involved as well. There's so much involved here, which I love so much. Yeah,
absolutely. How important, you've talked about the compost. Are we talking about peat-free compost? You've said that the pots are recyclable. How important is that in making it environmentally friendly?
I think if you're going to educate children in horticulture for the next generation coming into the industry, you need to promote what's going to be in the future. So you need to promote the sustainability of it. It will be peat-free compost, because that is the direction we're going in. You know, we've got the government ban on it, on peat. And
hopefully.
Hopefully. And just in general, teaching kids about the peatlands. So why are we using peat-free? And that will come with the educational materials of why we are using peat-free. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, have you got a company that is providing you with the material, with the compost?
Yeah, so Westland Horticulture.
Right, okay, brilliant.
Yeah. And then the pots are the tote pots, so they're curbside recyclable. They're also made from recycled material. Curbside recycling, it doesn't sound a lot, but when you recycle something and it goes to that recycling plant, you have to have people on the machines pulling out the black plastic or the green plastic or the red plastic. Absolutely. So with the taupe colour, the machines can pick it up. So when I say curbside recyclable, it means that no one's on that machine having to pull it out. So it, in theory, saves money for the recycling companies as well.
Okay. Do you know, I didn't know that. That's really interesting. So we're talking taupe, which is that kind of beigey colour. Is that right? Yeah. Okay. Oh, no, that is interesting. So what kind of feedback have you received from schools and parents so far about this initiative? So
Pershall College put out a press release for me. I was in all the local papers in my area and in the Pershall area. I was on BBC Hereford and Worcester with Tammy Goodin talking about it. And just from that press release, the amount of emails that come in with applications was unbelievable.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And then I've had a few nurseries contact me who want to take part in it. But they start from 4 months old up to 4 years old. Yeah. So then in my head, I was racking, how can I do it for those children as well? So I went and visited a couple of the nurseries and spoke to them about it. They showed me a growing space that they have. So we are going to still provide sunflower kits to them.
Right.
But maybe not all the educational materials because it wouldn't work with the children.
Yeah. and there's nothing out there for, the gloves are too small, aren't small enough. There's just not the material, but they do want to get involved, even if it's just for 5 minutes to get that attention. Start them at that age, and hopefully you've got them for life.
It sounded like a fantastic initiative. How did your partnership with British Garden Centres and the other organisations that you've partnered with come about?
Oh, I think that's down to Lee, if I'm honest. Because Lee,
why don't you tell us about that then?
You advised me to send it to British Garden Centres.
Yeah, I'm really lucky to be able to. I've done a few bits with British Garden Centres and the team there, and I really love their whole ethos behind what they do. And when me and Ross spoke for the first time, I'd literally just finished doing some sessions there around children's gardening, so I knew that they were behind that sort of thing. And so we sort of introduced Ross to them, and I think they're a really good partnership. Again, garden centres are one of them things which are so important to our industry, and that we really support. I mean, we need to build that connection between children, our future gardeners, and the garden centre to keep them going. So I feel like it's a nice little link there.
So what would you suggest to people maybe in the garden product manufacturers or garden centres or professional gardeners and landscapers? How could they get involved in projects like this?
Make it affordable. Make it affordable for schools and parents. If you're in a garden centre and the only grow kits that are there are £15, not every parent can afford that. The cost of the materials probably wouldn't even cost £5. So you need to bring it down and give them in my opinion, give them a product that's affordable and educational.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I think at the end of the day, look, we are fighting again as an industry. We're fighting against children that are going to go to the zoo or to a play centre or to a trampoline park. So we're saying you can spend £15 on a grow kit, or you can spend a day at a trampoline park. And 90% of children are going to say
trampoline
park, right?
Yeah.
So you are right. We need to make it more affordable. I think going into schools is a great idea, because we've also got a huge generation of parents that don't really garden at the moment. So if we can use that as an epicenter at the schools to branch out to families afterwards, then I think it's the perfect way of doing it. I think, if I'm honest with you, as an industry, we need to stop giving lip service to saying we need to get more children gardening. That is brilliant, right? I love that. Yeah, let's get children gardening. I could sit here all the time and say that, but we actually need to do something about it. Pour some money into it as well. Because at the moment we're saying we need younger people in our industry. We need to get people that come from school, but we're doing nothing at the moment about it. In a couple of weeks' time, little humble brag, but I'm off to Parliament, and I'm going to be surrounded by the Titch Marshals and all these sort of people and all different sorts of lords and lordesses, is that the right word? And we're all going to sit there and say that we need to get more children gardening. Well, guess what? A year ago, we did exactly that.
Said the same thing,
Nothing's changed, right? Apart from, obviously, government has changed. We can't, as an industry, sit around and wait for government to do stuff. We need to start showing what we can do.
And one of the things that pick up, Lee, what we talked about last time was this tendency to kidify gardening in garden centres. And I think that also, that puts on the price, doesn't it? If you're making something specially look cute and pink and everything, that's going to cost more money. And children don't need that, because they kind of play with it for a bit as a novelty and then forget about it. It's yet another plastic pink or blue kind of toy. So let's kind of stop kidifying gardening, make it real so that kids learn from an early age. This isn't just a toy. It's not just something to play with. This is life. This is a life skill, and it's so important.
I love how you've kept the word kidifying going as an actual word in the dictionary now. But we need to stop treating children like children when we're talking about gardening at the end of the day. So you're right. We don't need these colourful tools, because parents, children want what their parents have got. And if gardening is made out to be just some sort of, I don't really know how to say it, but like a quick throwaway McDonald's item, then then children aren't going to want to keep going and keep that interest flowing. So, yeah, we need tools that actually feel like proper tools for kids, and them to feel part and trusted and have that responsibility around gardening.
And hopefully that'll bring the cost down as well. So Roz, you've talked about educational materials. Can you tell us a little bit more about what comes with the kit, as well as the kind of actual tangible things they can grow?
Yeah, so I'm still actually working on the educational materials. I've got everything in place, but I'm still working on them. So there'll be a fact sheet. Right. There'll be word searches, crosswords, but not all the same. So if me and you are in the same class, we take out the activity sheet with a word search and a crossword, we're going to have different ones. There's 5 different ones that are going into it. So you couldn't copy off me, or I couldn't copy off you, because we might have completely different ones.
Right. I like that.
And then there's videos about to be recorded as well. So I'm going to record a startup video where kids can go on when they get home and look, or the school can show them on the school computers, and it'll be what it is, why it's sustainable, why we need it to be sustainable. And then as the weeks go on, a new video will get added. So how to plant a seed, now the seed germination, now we've got to look after that seed and fulfill it into a sunflower. And each few weeks is a new video will come out.
Right.
Brilliant.
So I hear there's, you talked about prizes, a bit of a competition. What are some of the unique prizes that are going to be offered, and how will that encourage future learning?
So the prizes that I was going for were birdhouses, bug hotels, paint your own birdhouses, build your own bug hotels, nature explorer kits, and even other not necessarily grow kits, but grow your own herbs on your windowsill kits, and just to. So with the birdhouses and the bug hotels, to build them, paint them, do it all yourself, and then put that up, and then see what birds are going there, see what bugs are going to the bug hotel. And then with the other little grow kits that you give for the windowsill gardening, where they can use it to eat or put in food, or you know what I mean, and just try and keep that nature aspect of it and that growing aspect of it continuing.
So Lee, with your work on children's gardening, what advice would you give to parents wanting to inspire a love for gardening at home? And can you share any fun garden hacks for kids that make planting that bit more exciting?
I think, and I've always said this, I think that giving children their own space to grow is really, really important, because it gives them, again, that sense of responsibility. I love when parents come to me and they say, oh, we did this. We gave them their own little area to grow in, and the plants died, and then we just had complete tears. And I'm like, but why is that? And it's because they didn't look after them, right? And that's a really important lesson that children need to learn, that plants and in life, we need to look after stuff and actually work to get that result. We need to work towards it, right? So I really do think that whatever space you've got, whether you've got like even just an outdoor, just out your side your front door, you can have a pot for the children to grow in. I think that is probably the biggest thing we can do, is give them their own space. And also, if you've got a garden, the kids have got their own space to play around in and get their hands messy. It means you've got more time to do the boring job of weeding, right? And it honestly makes such a big difference, because I remember as a father myself with Olive, when she was outside, having that mud kitchen for her to play in while I'm doing other stuff was an absolute godsend, because it meant she was so happy just getting her hands messy and throwing seeds about. She thought she was planting stuff up, and that's all that matters, right? She was loving it when she was little. Nowadays, when she's 9 years old, that the attraction of screens is more of the fight at the moment. But I think given that space is probably the biggest thing we can do for children, and the best way to get them started.
And make them exciting as well. You know, I remember seeing you posted something, Lee, about you and Olive did a competition. You both had a pot. You did Jurassic Park. Did she do princesses or fairies or something? Fairy garden. I mean, that's really exciting for a little kid who's, especially, my two boys, when they were little, really into dinosaurs. That would have been amazing for them. They absolutely loved that.
Yeah, it was so much fun. We did that in the summer, actually, and she is so competitive as well. Like, parents are competitive and children are, right? So if you've got a chance where you can just really simply with a pot turn them into what you want to, and also be able to watch them grow as well, it's so exciting. Like, every time we come out, we've still got them pots just outside of where I'm speaking to you now, and she comes round and sees how they're growing, and it's just that continued excitement around something that we did together. And I spoke about it earlier on in the podcast about memories as well. We've got that memory together. We spent the day, we went to the garden centre, bought some plants and talked together over a cup of tea at the garden centre about what we were going to create, and then come back in the afternoon and got our hands messy, and it was just so much fun. So again, we're creating those memories, something that she's going to remember in her teenage years and onwards. So it's a great way.
Yeah, I always find that using something that's really highly scented evokes memories, doesn't it? They stay with you for a long time. A lot of people talk about, lavender with their grandmothers and things like that. And also plants that move, that kind of react to you. Anything that kind of stimulates those extra sensories, I think really helps.
And am I right? I saw something about winning a day with Lee, or Lee coming to your school or something. What on earth is that?
Oh, wow.
That sounds exciting.
So I wanted to put a bow on Lee and have Lee as a prize.
Oh, yeah.
But I spoke to Lee and he kindly agreed to it. So all the schools that take part would be put into a raffle, and then one that came out would get a nice day with Lee.
That's brilliant.
Let me off.
That's such a great, I love that. That's really good.
It's really nice as well, because we get to continue that connection with that school. Get to be able to see how they're getting on, get to really find out what went well, what they could improve on.
Yes.
There's so much involved in that as well as just seeing me, which is lovely, I know. But
is there anything else that you think retailers could be doing to help attract parents who want to introduce their kids to growing? And are there any trends in children's gardening that might present new opportunities?
I think for getting parents into it, you need to make it stand out there and explain to them what it does for children. With the mental health aspect, the exercise aspect, learning about ecosystems, learning about germination and propagation. And you need to push why that's good, why that's cool, if you get what I mean.
Yeah. Why isn't it on the curriculum? Just hearing you say that, Ross, it's just, this is a subject. It's such a great subject. It's just, don't get me started, but it's just madness. It's not part of the curriculum. So,
My argument is you can bring horticulture into everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
So rather than when you're doing first year's education on maths in your how many seashells are there, why can't it be how many plants are there? Then science with the ecosystems, looking at root growth, looking at rhizobacteria, getting the plants under the microscope and dissecting them and seeing the different parts of the plants. Most schools out there have got the equipment to do that. They've got the microscopes to do it. And I'm sure if they didn't, there are ways that the schools can get the microscopes from the government and explain why they need them and why it will open up more education for the children.
Totally. I mean, history as well, geography, look at plant hunters, the whole thing behind plant hunters in the Victorian times. It's just fascinating. People getting eaten, people dying in bogs. I mean, kids would love all that gory stuff. So, she said, I used to use tulips, how to measure for maths, how deep does a tulip need to be? It's just such a no-brainer. Oh, dear.
Yeah. Lee, you've done quite a lot of work at garden centres. I know you were doing your roadshow sort of at various garden centres over the summer. So what sort of things did you find, from doing that? Did you, to try and encourage young people and parents bringing their kids along?
I think the biggest thing from what I found was, and there's two sides of this, right? So when I was at the garden centres, you're speaking to generally people that are already into gardening as parents. The biggest thing that I tried to do there was to, again, connect children and parents together. So they're doing an activity together, which is really important.
Yeah.
One of the things that we are really good at is we all know that gardening's great for parents and children to do together, right? But we are all in the industry and we all know this. There's a big proportion of people that don't even know where their local garden centre is, and that we're missing out on. So one of the things that I learned from that was, there's a big proportion of people that do. Sometimes they have a bit more money than others, but we're not tapping in at the moment to the people that are just going to the big sheds to get their plants, or
that's true,
or to Poundland, which it's not the same as going to a garden centre. No. So I think we really do need to try and have more initiatives which go into garden centres and try and attract a new audience in, which is really important, and which this school thing has the possibility of doing.
We need to get education into the garden centres as well, as in staff education, and we need to push more horticulture apprenticeships, RHS courses, because people that have got a wealth of knowledge, who have got 40 years of knowledge, in the next 10 maybe 15 years will be retiring and going out, so that knowledge goes with them, and we need to do in-house knowledge sharing as well. So if you don't want to send your staff to colleges and to do apprenticeships, do in-house courses, get those people that have been there for them years who really know what they're on about, and get them teaching the staff that are coming up.
Totally.
I love that, Ross.
Yeah, I used to go around to garden centres and teach about peat-free compost. And it's so important. The education is, and in fact, maybe that's what I need to start doing. Set up my own little training. Ross, I'll be talking to you later.
Talk to me. I'll help you.
Definitely.
That whole subject's really fascinating, though, Kate, as well, because we talk about peat and peat-free so much within our industry. Outside of our industry, if you ask some people, they don't know the difference of what, it's just compost, right? So sometimes I'm
dirt. Compost if you're lucky.
You know what I mean? We know that it's important that we go peat-free, and some people are just getting dirt. So, let's just go. Why is it even still a subject? Why have we got to go around educating?
I know.
Just what we use. Sorted.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Funny it was that easy, but
No, I do know what you mean. Right. Well, let's start winding things up. Let's change the subject a bit. What's the funniest or most unexpected thing you've heard from kids or even parents who've been trying to grow things in the garden? Let's go to Lee first with that one.
I think my favourite, and I love this, and I get this a lot in October. It starts in October. Is I always get parents asking me, how do I plant up my pumpkin seeds ready for Halloween? It's my favourite, and it comes every single year. It's brilliant. Really? I love it so much.
So they were expecting a pumpkin seed to be grown in October to be ready for Halloween. Yeah. Oh, okay, I'm with you. Right. Oh my God.
That's what I'm. Wow. That's hilarious to us. As we scoff us gardeners, but to parents that don't, it's like, Halloween's coming up. We should plant a pumpkin seed, for Halloween, and it's amazing to be able to. I'm sitting there thinking, you really think it's going to be ready, don't you? But oh my God, we keep going back to education. But patience, gardening can create so much patience for children. And parents, and that's something we can teach through it. So it makes Lee Connelly scoffed at the idea of parents thinking that.
Oh dear! So we need to start pushing Halloween in March, then, don't we? March, April.
I'm trying to think of a way of doing it. I was thinking about doing some more activities around autumn time and Halloween, and I'm like, how can I bring pumpkins into it when we're when we really should be
going
around we should be going around in our fancy dress in March time.
I'm going to think on that one. How about you, Ross?
Yeah. Christmas trees for me. I know Lee's just said about pumpkins for Halloween, but it's Christmas trees, and people don't understand how long it takes to grow a Christmas tree.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can go to the garden centres and buy a little sapling in January for 10 quid. And it goes in the garden, and we'll cut this in December and use it.
Right,
You can't do that. And to actually tell them that it's 10, 15 years sometimes before you can actually use them.
Interesting. So
unless you want mini ones.
Bonsai Christmas tree. But we're all about instant gratification, aren't we? These days, want it now.
Yeah.
And usually we can have it now.
On a personal note, the funniest thing a kid said to me at school this year was, I went in as a skinny jean gardener, and this little boy turned to me and went, "You're not very skinny."
Well, that is a risk. That is a risk when you take on that name, isn't it, as you get older?
Been on a diet ever since.
So what's one myth about gardening? I think you've almost said it, really, haven't you? About gardening with kids that you'd like to debunk?
That they find it boring.
I like that one. That's great, that they find it boring.
Yeah.
It's a good one. Or the one I always, and I've on a massive campaign for my entire life for this, is that radishes are a really great way to get children started in gardening. I don't stop talking about this. I feel I've talked about it a lot this year, but children don't like radishes. I don't know how many times I've got to say it.
Yeah.
It's true, isn't it? They might grow quick, but they're not going to eat them. And it's going to put them off, isn't it? If you're saying, let's grow food, let's grow this, and it's a radish, and okay, you can get some really pretty looking ones and interesting ones. But really, you want to be talking sugar snap peas and things moist too, strawberries. Yeah. Things that taste good. I mean, I love radish now, but as a kid, God, no.
That's what I'm saying. So don't say radishes to me on the street.
I love that.
Yeah. All right, then. Here's a final question for you both. So if you could invent any crazy plant growing gadget for kids, what would it be?
So I thought about this, and I know we're saying about bringing children off screens, and I totally agree with it. But do you remember Tamagotchis?
Yep.
The virtual pet. So what if we could do one as a virtual plant, but you program it? So when you plant a seed, it's there. So if you don't go out and water your real plant, your plant will die on the Tamagotchi.
Ooh, okay.
Nice.
Okay.
I like that. Now, interestingly, at the weekend, I saw something called a Plantagotchi.
Oh, okay.
Which is very similar, but it's actually a plant pot with which you put your little house plant in at the top, and it's got eyes on it, and it measures the water in and all that sort of thing, and it smiles when it's happy, and when it needs water in, it then, I don't know, changes its expression. So that was quite fun.
I'm gonna look that up.
Yeah. Well, I thought about getting one for my son, and then saw it was 75 quid and thought, no, maybe not.
Okay.
And there we go again with the affordability.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and annoyingly, that is quite close to my idea. I thought what would be amazing. Both of them ideas are quite close to mine, actually. But having a plant label that is a digital label that goes next to the plant, says what it needs, but also has a screen on it that shows how many weeks is left, and shows a picture of the plant. So if you've got a carrot, it's showing underneath how the carrot's growing, but also an end result as well. So children have to go outside, actually physically be next to the plant to see how it's getting on, and be able to water it and care for it. So all very close.
Yeah, similar.
Ideas by there.
Interesting. But it's all about encouraging and educating as well, both of those ideas, which is what we've been talking about all morning, really, isn't it?
Yeah. Can I just say as well, I don't know if you guys agree with me, but for education purposes, and Lee, I don't know, you can use this in Parliament, hopefully. My idea is, with horticulture, it can end world hunger and the dirty water crisis, because you hear the old expression of you give a person a fish and they can eat for a day. You teach a person to fish and they can eat for life. So if we give a person fruit or vegetables, they can eat for that day. But if we teach them to grow fruits and vegetables, they can continue to use them fruits and vegetables to feed them and their families. And with the dirty water crisis that the world is facing at the moment, most nurseries now have reed beds, and what these reed beds do is any chemical that's left, if you're spraying, can go into them reed beds, and by the time it comes out the other end, it's good water to go back into the streams. So why can't we use that idea to clean and purify water?
Wow.
Nice.
Thank you, Ross. Yeah. That's I think we need to end there, because that's something to really, really think about. That's taking
Profound.
your idea of teaching children to grow sunflowers to kind of teaching the powers that be to use horticulture as a power for good. I think, no more needs to be said, really.
Thank
you so much for coming and taking up your time this morning and talking to us about this. It's such an important subject because, as Whitney Houston said, children are our future. And let's just get them growing.
Yeah, all the best, Ross, with your campaign for Get Children Growing. Hope it all goes well. And brilliant speaking to you both.
Thank you so much. Cheers. I'm feeling quite emotional now.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, could I ask a small favour? Please take the time to review the show and share us with your colleagues. It really does make a difference and will help others to find us too. To keep up to date with the latest happening from the Underground, sign up to our email newsletter at theunderground.fm. I'm Kate Turner, the Gardener Guru. I'm a horticulturist, garden consultant and presenter. To find out more, check out my website at gardenerguru.co.uk.
And I'm Phil Wright, the founding partner of Wright O'Bara, a creative marketing agency specialising in the home and garden sectors. And for anyone bringing a new product to market, we've created a handy 7-step guide to help take your product marketing from zero to hero. Find out more at wrightobara.com.